everyone, this is a trader investor. In this video I want to talk about support and resistance. There's some confusion, right? If when we get to support, price is supposed to reverse. When we get to resistance, price is supposed to reverse. Or if we break through it, we take the position on the other side. But I want to show you how it is important to understand what support and resistance are, how to draw them, right? Especially if you're a beginner in this thinking. And support and resistance is a zone, not a specific point or a specific line. It's a zone, and it's also not just a horizontal line. It can also be a trend line that is going diagonally up or down. And you can combine it with various things, with demand zone, supply zone, but I'm not going to confuse you with that in this video. I'm just going to focus on support and resistance. So the first thing I usually do is look at my monthly chart and see where we are on the monthly chart. And as you can see, the monthly was in the Qs. Looking at the Qs, the monthly had a nice uptrend, right, that it keeps breaking. And what I mean by it keeps breaking is, if we start here in March of 2020, when the markets collapsed because of COVID and then recovered soon after that, when you look at that and you draw some touching points, the last 4 or 5 months has been choppy. We've been going up and down that trend line. Now it's okay, you can keep redrawing it, but when you keep redrawing it, it kind of gets confusing as to, what is the right thing to do, what is going on, is it really moving in the right direction, or is it doing something else, because you're going to keep redrawing it and you're going to miss the point. So as long as you have it touch a couple of points, that just gives you a reference. So we broke out of that trend line, and then on the weekly, I'll just make sure that we are still seeing the same thing, similar things that we are seeing. I'll redraw these. I just want to show you how I get to them, right? So here, the weekly, that trend line is broken, and we're on the other side of that trend line. Until we form a new trend line up or down, we're just gonna take a look at that. And then I like to go to the daily, and this is where I add additional trend lines to more recent price action. If you look at more recent price action, I like to draw them. I like to draw them in different colors so that I know which one I draw on the monthly, which one I draw on the daily. And so again, the idea behind this trend line that is broken is still there. So we're going to get into a little bit more in depth, but I just wanted to show you how I keep drawing them by going down to lower time frames. And then from the daily, I like to use the daily for my horizontal trend lines. And what I see here is, I'll draw it across the whole line instead of just that point, is this is an area where price has tried to touch multiple times, trying to go up, resistance, resistance, resistance multiple times. It acted as support a couple of times, support, support, and then it broke through. Twice it did not close below it. One time it closed below it, but it immediately reversed. This is an area for manipulation where short traders would be trapped. Again, you see it here playing around there, and then after that, the last few days, we have completely collapsed from this area. So it's good to keep that into the picture. And if we see more of them down here, price played in this area multiple times, multiple times, multiple times. So here's additional ones that you can see, and I'll just draw the ones that are near our current price point. And like I said, because it's a zone, right, I'm trying to find an area where price has touched multiple times, right? Down reversed, or up reversed, up reversed, up, played around that area for a while before it continued. Those are going to be important areas of support. When you combine it with other things, you will not be required to draw these areas, because I draw them as a zone. I already know this is a zone, so I'll draw it that way. That's what you see with this demand block here, but that's another video that really goes into details. And then we'll go down a few more times because we want to see more touches, because this is where price is, and maybe one or two more to see, okay, here's an area where price has spent a lot of time. In this area here, in this area here, in this area here, price has spent a lot of time. So this is a couple of areas now that we are playing with. Now what's important is these lines did not happen this last couple of weeks, or not even this whole month of January. They were in play for a long time, right? In December, back before December, October time frame, September time frame, they're always in play. And so what we're looking at is when price comes down to that support area, when price comes up to that resistance area, what does it do? That's the purpose, right? Many points, that's why we want as many touches as possible to make it a strong area. When price comes to that area, what does it do? Does it struggle, right? Does it hit on this day, rejected, hit the next day, rejected, the third day get past it, but then stopped out? This is where manipulation happens, and then it continued up. So very, very important areas. When price comes to here, very important to see what it's doing. Critical to understand what it's doing before you jump in and trade in any position. Just because it went down here, it doesn't mean it's going to go down here, right? And then when price drove up and it came back down to that area, try to go through, rejected, try to go through, rejected, came up again, barely got there, rejected. The next day tried to get there, rejected. The third day, a little bit of an attempt, rejected. Fourth day, came down, passed it, rejected, closed above. The following day, this is where people got trapped. People who thought, okay, now we're really bearish because we have gapped down this much, I'm going to take a short position. Well, you know, if you did it at the open, you were happy for a few hours and then price reversed on you. So it's very, very critical. And we have to also see what is the most recent trend line, support, resistance. This areas where price came down twice. This is more recent. It's not as strong as ones that do it multiple weeks, multiple months, but more recent. We have a double bottom right here. So do you trade into this double bottom, right? Very critical to understand this support and resistance areas, right? You don't have to draw these once you understand how they work. You see price comes down, it comes down again, double bottom. Am I going to hurry up and enter to the other side? No. Comes down again, right? It goes through here again, rejected, goes down, next day goes down some more. Now these short people, hopefully they took profits, because you know the following day it came back above, got rejected. When you combine this with structure, when you combine this with lower highs, lower lows, higher highs, higher lows, you get confidence to enter some positions maybe a little bit sooner. But understanding that if you enter sooner up here, you have lower highs that keep forming lower highs. So if you enter in this area, what do you do when price comes to your support line? Do you exit at that support line, or do you hope to continue down? Well, in this case, that didn't last long, so you gave back a lot of profits every single day. In this case, it lasted a little bit longer, and because assuming lower highs and you've taken your position somewhere here, when you get down to here, do you take some profits, or do you hope it's going to break? Now maybe it's the third time it's going to break. We don't know. If you kept holding it reversed on you and you were back in not a loss but much less of a profit, so do you continue to drive those expectations, or do you know that this is a strong area of resistance and support? Up, 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 and then down, 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 down. That it tried a few times. So here's where I say take your profits. Take your profits in this area. If you're brand new to support and resistance, take your profits, right? Don't let price reverse on you. One of the things I always say, don't give back profits. If you're in a nice position, don't give back profits. You take a position here and comes to this trend line, right? Price comes to that trend line, didn't break it. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Now, the first time it went there and got rejected, did you take your profit? Because otherwise the next day you'll have break even. If you're doing options, you might even be losing because a few days have gone by. And so what do? Do you then take, you come down to this trend line, this is a trend line because you drew it, do you take your exit? That's critical. Otherwise you have to go all the way up here and then come all the way back down here. I do not teach roller coaster trades. I teach knowing when to enter and when to exit before you even place the trade. Before you pull the trigger, I'm going to enter here, lower highs. I get an indication that I'm going to go short. I'm going to go short here. I get an indication that at this trend line, price did not slice through this trend line. It actually touched and struggled. I'm exiting here, right? This is why you draw your trend lines. Very, very critical, you draw your trend lines. And it doesn't matter what instrument you're working on. Doesn't matter what instrument. Where has price been multiple times, right? When you take this Vanguard real estate ETF, in this area, the 111 area, price got rejected multiple times. Even here, it consolidated around that area. 1 day above it, 1 day below it, another day above it, another day below it. Very, very key area. When it comes down, it struggled for a couple of days before it broke through. Even then, it came reverse back, and now it tested it as resistance and collapsed. So knowing your strong areas of support and resistance where price has been multiple times, do not be picky, like, oh, it's touching here but it's not touching here, it's barely touching here, I don't care. I'm not picky, because for me the way I look at these is it's a zone. It's a zone like this. I might even draw it a little bit high. It's a zone. So if you're new, maybe you want to draw it as a zone like this. Draw it in some colors that you can see clearly. That you can see clearly. And then maybe change the opacity here. Same thing that we do here, right? Maybe just play around with it like this and say, oh, okay, every time I draw a line, I'm actually going to draw a box to say somewhere in this vicinity is my support and resistance. Very, very key to understand this. Where has price been multiple times? And as a reminder, we start with our monthly, right? At least for me, that's how I start. And where has price spent a lot of time coming down to? Up comes down to it, up comes down to it. Where has price done that multiple times? That's my trend line. Is it respecting that trend line? When I go to my weekly, right, I see it clearly. Is it respecting this trend line? When I go to my daily, when I see this trend line, it's still respecting it. I don't need to draw any new ones, right? And so on the daily now, I can just focus on drawing my support and resistance. Very, very important to understand this concept. It is critical to your trading. When price comes down, what does it do? You take action accordingly, right? If you have taken enough profits when it comes down to support, you're not sweating it if it reverses because you've taken enough off the table, right? 50% of your position, 75% of your position is off at a strong support. Then you let the rest ride, right? You don't sweat a little bit of a rally while it's going down. Very critical. And then you keep drawing your lines. You keep drawing your lines because this is where we are. Multiple times, this is support, support, resistance, support, support, again support. Price came down and held. We don't know what's going to happen next, but for now it's holding. So we know when price has gone through the first support, our target is the next support. Since we draw these, we already know ahead of time to expect this target. And then as you start drawing these demand zones, that's for me, that demand zone many times aligns with support area. So that's all I need to draw, but that's a little bit more advanced and you can look at those videos. But here, once you understand resistance, support, and it's a zone. And when price gets there, do I take action? Like, do I enter? Do I exit? I prefer to enter away from that zone and then come back down to it. But there are multiple other scenarios where you can enter it even around that zone. But the one thing I will say is if you see price breaks through, do not be in a hurry to enter, because they are most likely going to come and stop hunt this and then take people to think that it's going to go short. They're going to stop hunt them. They're going to do this, and you might not see it if you're only looking at the daily bar. You might see this in a 1 hour bar, in a 15-minute bar or less. But on a day, it might just look like a doji, a hammer or something, but they might have done this multiple times. So when you come to an area of support, resistance, an area of value, do not be in a hurry to enter any direction. Ideally, what I like to see is price breaks out of it. It comes and forms a base. It forms a base that it does not break. Higher, low, key part. And I can enter when price breaks this area. Or if I am confident that it's holding here enough, I can enter when this pin bar here is formed. So I'll erase these so you can see better. When this area is being a short-term support, right? I talked about short-term support earlier. When this area is being a short-term support and you get a nice pin bar, boom, you take it. Especially when you're playing options, these are going to be awesome. Hopefully this has clarified for you support, resistance, trend line as support and resistance as well, because trend line at the upper side acts as resistance, at the lower side acts as support, just like you've seen here. Support, price reverses, support rejected, but then we're on the other side. The whole market is in correction, so you see that the whole market is in correction. You know that because we have a significant move, high to low, right? High to low, significant move in any market that you look at. That's a significant move we have, high to low, right? We're way past 5% correction. Alright everyone, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.